Today on Toy Habits Reviews, we have the Filmation version of Skeletor's literal right-hand man, Trapjaw, in the spotlight. And before we dive into the review, smash that like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a beat. Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits, and we are taking a detailed look at the cartoon collection Trapjaw and comparing him to his MOTU Origins first release figure. So let's start off like we usually do and take a look at the packaging. And here we have the cartoon collection Trapjaw on card, and the colors are beautiful on these cartoon collection cards. I just really love the purples and the blues, and we can also see Trapjaw and how he is packed, and it looks like he just comes with an extra laser cannon accessory that's packed in there, and you can see his Eternium that's on the side there. And on the back we have the card art, and which is inspired by the double-edged sword Filmation episode, which is great. Love that episode. And we also see some Eternium rock illustrations with Trapjaw and his laser cannon accessory pose. The best thing about this card is the cross-sell of the future cartoon collection figures, so we are getting Stratos and Merman next, which is awesome. All right, well, let's crack Trapjaw open and free him from his plastic prison. All right, and here we have Trapjaw out of his package, and we will start with his head sculpt first. So let's just zoom in so we can get all the detail, and man, this is a mug only a mother could love. I love the way that they had done the teeth up in the upper jaw here, as you can see that. His jaw is on a hinge, which is really nice, and he does come packed with his open jaw mouth. So if you're gonna leave it on card, that's how he's gonna be. And he has the same silver line that goes on his helmet and that little zip lining attachment. So they also gave him eyebrows, funny enough, because the MOTU Origins first release of Trapjaw is sans eyebrows, which is very weird, but maybe they had to cut some corners. Moving around to the back of the head sculpt, we can see where the silver line stops, and the helmet's actually angled very nicely down here, so it looks like an actual helmet. And I actually really love how the jaw is very angular here, and it's just a black coloring on his head sculpt, so you can kind of see where Skeletor has given him the comeuppance and turned him into Trapjaw. Moving down to the mechanical arm, we have a pink mechanical arm as he's seen in the MOTU Filmation cartoons that we grew up with. And it's really interesting because there is a nice shiny finish of the arm, and once it bends to the elbow, it moves more to a matte finish. So like the Filmation cartoon, the arm is really thin, which is nice. It's a nice nod, and they didn't make it very thick and oversized. The black piece that goes over his shoulder actually comes off. So looking at part swappability, you can actually take this piece off, and you can actually remove the shoulder piece on his right arm, which is very cool. But let's put Mr. Trapjaw's parts back together, and we will move on with taking a look at some of his other body parts. And one interesting thing about the arm is that the pieces are removable, so you're able to separate the entire arm attachment from the arm, which is really interesting because like you've seen in the just throwing accessories all around in the Filmation cartoon, he does really have a stumpy looking arm, and so you can actually recreate the way that he shows up in the Filmation cartoon because he does have a stumpy looking arm. Yes, sorry Trapjaw, I'm so sorry I'm calling your arm stumpy, but we can see how the hook looks on his hand. But yeah, the laser cannon attachment actually looks more natural than the hook, so let's put that back on. So I love that they give you a couple options to display him how you want it. The blue skin, I think they nailed on the figure, and because these are cartoon collection figures, you're not going to see a lot of detail in the belt or in the wrist cuffs. The wrist cuffs have a more of a shiny finish that the light is showing here, and there's a matte finish on the belt accessory. And if you turn it around to the back, he only has one place to stow his weapon, as he only came with one weapon. It would be really neat for him to come with most of his accessories that we saw in the Filmation cartoon, but c'est la vie, such is life. Moving down to the loincloth area, we do have the pink furry loincloth and another shiny app paint finish for the thigh armor. So it's more of that pinkish reddish hue with that lime green on top of it with some black accents right here. His boots are actually really neat. It has kind of a modified shin armor. So if you articulate the figure so the legs lay straight, it actually comes to a nice point right here. And I love the boot design here. So we have more of the black for the boot showing with more of his mechanical armor down here. So the leg armor is pretty much all the same. There's no variation there, but all in all, I think this figure is actually really, really great, and it's actually fun to have more of these figures in the cartoon collection. And I usually don't go over articulation, but since this is a brand new piece, I will do that. So his arm kind of rotates and kind of moves and pivots in his socket here, kind of about that range of motion. His elbow on the mechanical arm just bends at a 90-degree angle here, and it looks like you have just a lot of ways to pose the arm. It also has some swivel motion side to side there, and just the regular articulation that comes in the MOTU cartoon collection figures. So it's actually really cool to see this version of Trapjaw with articulation. All right, and let's take a look at his weapons and accessories, and he does come with an extra laser cannon arm attachment. So like the other attachments that have come for these, they basically just slot into the hole right here, and you just force it in, and bam, you have changed the accessory, which is cool. So like I referenced earlier, he only has one place to stow an attachment, so that can go in the belt, and the belt does not look like it's removable, but if you just snap them off and, ooh, Trapjaw's booty, there it is. You can get the belt off if you need to. So yeah, if you also want to look at Trapjaw's booty, that's okay. I'm not going to tell anyone. Oh, actually, while I have him off, there is an indentation that the plastic is made so the belt can kind of fit nice and snugly there. So if you want to put them together without the belt, that's totally cool. Not really sure if it does any justice to the figure to have him this way, but it just gives you a different way to pose him and display him. All right, and the only accessory that's left is the Eternium accessory, and I love that this is more translucent and see-through, and I love that they put a way for you to, or for Trapjaw to grab the Eternium. So put it in his hand right there, and if it's like the other Masters of the Universe accessories, he might have a difficult time holding it, which I'm running into right now. So anyways, oh yeah, there we go. Here, he is holding his Eternium, and he looks really, really good. You're just going to have to finagle the Eternium into his fist, because the fists are always malleable and pliable, so you're just going to have to get it to the right type of tension so he can kind of grab it. So yeah, this is what Trapjaw looks like with his Eternium and his extra attachment. And here we have the mini comic that Trapjaw and Teela come with called Time's End. And I'm not going to read the story aloud, but just want to show some of the characters that are featured in it. We have King Randor, of course, Teela and Trapjaw, and it looks like a really cool story. Oh boy, we have some dinosaurs in Preternia, so get ready for the powers of Grayskull, y'all. There's actually a really cool three-headed dragon that reminds me of something out of The Legend of Zelda, and we have Trapjaw illustrated with some attachments that he does not come with in his action figure, which I think was a big miss. So things like the fly swatter, that little claw, and we can also see Orko here. So looks like a great story, and you see the cross-sell of Stratos and Merman on the back, which are coming soon. All right, and it's comparison time, so let's take a look at Trapjaw's first version versus the cartoon collection, and we'll first go over the physical differences. So really the differences in the head sculpts are the angular design of the helmet. The helmet looks more natural on Trapjaw, and this Trapjaw looks kind of more like a football helmet, if I do say so myself. The jaws are also on hinges too, and so you have a more circular connection in the cartoon collection, and it looks like just the jaw is feeding into the helmet here. And aside from the really obvious differences in just the paint app with the reddish purple with the reddish pink hue on the paint apps on his gun, his arm, and his armor, some more of the subtle differences lie in just the belt design and just that the first version of Trapjaw has all of his accessories versus this one, which it can only hold the hook. The boots are also different too, so we get the Filmation boots that have a really cool design, and then also the first version of Trapjaw had some really cool boots as well. All right, and I know everybody's probably interested in the part swappability aspect of these figures, so let's go into that next. All right, now I've gone ahead and removed the arms off camera, and just to show you that the ports look very similar and you would expect the arms to be swappable, but as I found out, they are not swappable. So if you take a look at the first release of Trapjaw, it has a more of an angular peg, and the peg is much larger in the cartoon collection version, and it does not seat at all in this figure. So I tried with all my might to do it, and I didn't want to risk breaking it, but you cannot swap the arms with the two versions, which really doesn't make any sense. I think that's a very bad design decision that we have to live with as collectors, and if you do part swappability, maybe you can just kind of file this down a little bit and get it to fit, but I'd be worried that you wouldn't be able to get the correct arm to seat properly in the cartoon collection version. All right, and I'm just going to demonstrate the swappability with the arm attachments, and the pegs that from the first version are just a little bit larger than the cartoon collection version, so you do have to apply quite a bit of pressure to make it seat in there correctly. And if you can see, there's also a little gap of clearance in there as well. But I really wish that Trapjaw came with at least his fly swatter attachment. That would have been a very fun accessory to include in here. And looking to see if the heads are swappable, I'm just going to pop his head off and Frankenstein one together, because that's actually apropos for Trapjaw, because he kind of is like a Frankenstein. So let's see. Oh yes, his head does fit on the first version release, which is cool. Makes him look really, really weird, but I actually kind of like it. Let's see if the first version release seats in here. Another thing to note about the cartoon collection figures is that the ball joint on the head is not the right size, and so this is basically just going to sit on top of his head, and it's not going to snap in. So oh my gosh, oh, there's Trapjaw carnage everywhere. So yeah, oh my gosh, wait, okay, so basically if you want to display your Trapjaw like this, which I don't recommend, the head is just going to be sitting on top of the ball joint. All right, and one other thing to note before we move on is that although the head seats in the ball joint here, you're going to have a big space for the neck clearance, so that doesn't really seat on his shoulders very well. But I mean, if you're looking at the figure front on and you open his jaw, it doesn't look too bad. All right, and the last thing that I'm going to demonstrate here is just the swapping of the lower bodies. So the first version of Trapjaw is able to take the cartoon collection body from the lower body down, and vice versa with the cartoon collection, or I think I might have messed something up there, but anyway, you get the point. So limited part swappability with the attachments, no swappability with the arms, which is a huge miss, Mattel, and also the ball joints on the head. So we have this thing going on where you can just kind of have Trapjaw's first version head sitting on the cartoon collection body. And one other thing to note is that if you want to swap hands, for example, taking Trapjaw's close-fisted hand on the cartoon collection version and putting it on the first version, that will work, but in doing that, you are taking Trapjaw's ability away to hold the Eternium in his left hand. And I'm not sure if the camera is sensitive enough to pick up the color differences, but the hand on the first version is a little bit darker than the lighter blue on the cartoon collection, and vice versa. So if that doesn't bother you, you can swap hands all you like. And that's a wrap on the review of the cartoon collection Trapjaw. So let us know what you think about this figure in the comments below. And thanks for tuning into this Toy Habits review. And don't forget to smash that like button on your way out. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, we'd really appreciate it. See you next time.